Welcome to the Pharos Fit podcast, where we help you to explore your capacity to move better, push further, and achieve your limitless potential through fitness, nutrition, recovery, and lifestyle. Hey guys, welcome back to the Pharos Fit podcast. I'm here today with Jeff Scarber, Emily Cavell, and Brandon Rees. 2019, what a year.
Finishing it up.
Gonna be a big one.
2019 was a big one. We expanded the gym basically twice.
Tetris pieced the floor a million times.
We had a kid, little Wyatt. Baby Wyatt. Jeff.
Is not having a kid.
Not having a kid, thank God. Jeff is a big kid. And then Brandon moved to LA. First year in LA, right?
First year in LA. It's been a hell of a year. Didn't see myself here sitting with you three, but
No.
joined the gym at the beginning of the year and helping you guys get this podcast going and putting this whole piece together. But I'm happy it all ended up this way.
You're on the map. You're on the map, my friend.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
You made it a year that says a lot.
So obviously this time of year, it's time to start thinking about 2020. People start talking about New Year's resolutions, etc. And I know Brendan had some questions for us about how we're going to approach 2020, and how we're going to do things differently, better, etc., etc. So, Brandon, why don't you fire away with the first question you've got for us? We'll do our best to answer it.
It is upon us, the New Year's, and as it comes up, how are you guys ramping people up to think about their New Year's resolutions?
Emily, why don't you answer this question? Because I know you love New Year's resolutions.
No, I kind of hate New Year's resolutions. I think most people do. People kind of scare away from the New Year's and they're like, oh, I got to do New Year's resolutions. Or they fall into the I can't wait to do this checklist of all the things that I'm going to accomplish this year. But ultimately, I think a lot of it is, the idea of resolutions kind of sets us up for failure right at the beginning because we're setting intentions, but we're not really developing a plan of action. I would rather us call it a New Year's plan of action, something that is simple, actionable steps that we can do day in and out to ensure that every day you're getting 1% better and moving the needle forward towards progress.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the main things is people just write things down. Yeah, I'm going to do this, but then there's actually no actionable plan to achieve it. So
absolutely.
It just becomes this thing in the air that just exists. It doesn't really ever get done.
Yeah. So I hope, in 2020, we help people take massive action on helping them push through those good intentions and actually achieving their goals.
Yeah.
We don't want to be the kind of gym that is packed in January and then dead by March. Right. I know that there's
which is a lot of gyms.
That's their whole business model.
Yeah.
It's they hope that they sign up in January, get a huge influx, sign up for a year, and then never show up.
It's like airlines that overbook flights because they know that certain people aren't in town. It's the same thing with gyms.
Well, I take that thing. I plan on if I'm going to American United flight, I'm going to take that extra $750. I'm going to take my flight. I'll gladly book for the next one. I plan and prepare for it.
I got nowhere I got to be. I
plan a day or two ahead. I got a good buffer space.
Yeah, ultimately, that's not us. Everyone always says, and what you always say, we are results oriented, And so we hope that in 2020, the biggest thing that we can provide for people is actionable tools and steps that gets them to achieving not just quick fix goals that happen maybe by March and then fade out. And then by the end of the year, they're right back where they were. But achieving sustainable and long lasting health and fitness.
So some people have 3, some people have 5, but you guys have 6 steps to achieving sustainable, long lasting health, fitness. What's step 1? Everybody wants to know, where do we begin? So what's the beginning for you guys?
Yeah, the first step that we always talk about is having a clear vision, right? And that's where we start with our game plan session. So every time we talked about this in one of our previous podcasts, we like to, show face and have a conversation with everybody who walks through the front door. And for us, we call that our game plan session. And, what we do, and this is kind of what we were doing today during our trial, was what we like to sit down and we have a conversation. We start with our in-body scan. And our in-body scan will measure your weight, your skeletal muscle mass, and then your body fat mass as well as body fat percentage. It gives us a bunch of data that we can then sit down and discuss for you. Look, everybody has their own goals and wants to go certain places, but based off of these InBody results, us, and we do these game plans all the day and we read these InBody scans all the time. It's like we kind of know where you should go. Again, composition wise, like, and we talk about that versus, the whole SID, the C, the I, or the D. We're trying to get everybody to a D. We need everybody to get a bigger D. So from there, it's having a clear vision, and it's like, based off of these results, where should you go? Talk about goals for you. And then we sit down and we have a game plan session for you as far as like how we want you to eat. So like nutritionally, where you should go, as well as like your game plan for like exercise, what type of workout you should be doing.
Yeah, but the big thing with the game plan session, I call it's like a dreaming session. Like, you go in and people come in and they say like, I want to lose 5 pounds. Okay, but why? Like, why does it matter? Like, why will being 5 pounds lighter actually like help your life? Will it make you smarter? Will people like you more? Like, will it do anything for your life? I think a lot of people have like, a lot of like goals, but it's great when we can sit down with people and just continually ask why. Like, why do you want that? What does it actually matter? And then they're like, oh, well, maybe that what I just said isn't actually what I wanted.
It's hard for people.
It's like, so hard
because to get into the root of it can be like, sometimes like it can get a little emotional.
It's a therapy session.
It's a therapy. Like, when was the last time you sat down with someone who you don't know and just said whatever you want to say about where you're at right now in your life? Like, it can get very emotional.
Very emotional
very,
and serious.
Because you start to like analyze yourself and really think about things. It's like, a lot of stuff just comes out.
And hopefully, we're getting past these like superficial goals, although superficial goals are fine and great and amazing too, right? Like, losing 5 pounds and seeing my abs again, it's like, it makes me feel confident. I fit in my bikini. I like, look hot, blah, blah, blah. That's awesome. But ultimately we want to get past just those superficial goals and instead help people really figure out what their value system is. Like, what is it that you really want in your life? And then what role does fitness or nutrition or hopefully Pharos play in that value system? I call it like a word vomit session. Jeff calls it a therapy session. So I think that's the biggest thing. And so once we kind of have the dreaming session of what it is that you want, we try to break it down into what we call action statements. I like to call these mantras, but they think that that's a little bit too hippy dippy, so we couldn't call it a mantra. We had to call it.
Use the word.
You need some good affirmations. You gotta say it to bring it into existence.
Absolutely, sometimes. You gotta say it to bring it into existence. You gotta like write it down on your phone, have it as your wallpaper, put it on your bedside table so you see it every night before you go to sleep, and you wake up every morning with it.
You know what we should do?
What?
We should make T-shirts out of the action statements and make them wear.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So, okay, our action statement. Every strong action statement has like really 4 components, right? So we have a goal, duh. And then we have a deadline to reach that goal. So, results are accelerated within a fixed time frame. Like I'm training for a marathon. I'm doing this. I'm training for a figure show. I'm doing something and there's a finite end period of it. And then 3 is having a really strong why of why that goal is so important to you. A lot of people think that they want something, but their why is not strong enough, so they're ultimately not going to achieve it. But if we can figure out what that why is, make it strong enough in your brain to make it important to you, then a lot of times it'll stick more. And then the 4th one, and this is huge, and honestly my favorite thing to talk about in the game plan sessions, is an acknowledgement and a commitment to overcome the obstacles or the stories that we tell ourselves that are derailing us from that goal. So again, I want blank, right? Like I want a banging bod by March 1st so that I can, like, how will it actually help my life? So I can be more confident and be like, tough in my own skin and, feel like awesome and like finally hit a goal and feel like I actually achieved something that I've been working for, years, or achieve something I've never had before, or get my pre-baby body back, right? And I won't let blank stop me. And that's really where the therapy session is. It's like, I won't let like that story in the back of my head that says that I'm not good enough stop me, or I won't let drinking stop me, or I won't let, I don't know, what are some other ones that we hear all the time?
I don't want to go into detail there.
Yeah, it's a
right,
minefield.
because it's a little bit too emotional. You can't get that close with us.
It's not my podcast. I don't want to.
But I think you're right. I mean, people acknowledging their obstacles is a huge thing, and just by saying it out loud, this is a real problem for me.
Yeah.
And I need to try and overcome it. Can be a huge thing.
Yeah, negative self-talk, just saying
Yeah.
I'm not worth it, or like I'm not that kind of person. I've never had that body before, so I can't imagine that kind. I'm not disciplined enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not focused enough. I'm not a morning person. I don't have enough time. I'm too focused on work. Like the list goes on and on and on.
The stories we tell ourselves, are pretty amazing. And it's because we obviously we listen to a lot of these different stories, and it's incredible how many people, perfectly capable people we met who can do, whatever they want to do, but there are always things, to do with their personality or to do with their social situations or their work or whatever it is that stops them really kind of like getting what they really want. Owning it.
Yeah.
But by sitting down, by talking about it, by acknowledging it, and then developing actionable ways in which they can overcome it, it's a huge thing.
So first is a clear vision. You got to have you got to know where you're going in order to get there. You got to know the map.
It's funny watching people write down their goals or filling this out, that I want blank by blank, blah, blah, blah.
Our Mad Lib.
Yeah. And there's two different types of people that come into the gym. One of them are kind of like Pete and I, who will think these sort of things, like these Mad Libs, are cheesy, and we don't love doing them. And then there's people like Emily who love to fill these things out.
Them.
But no matter who it is, like when you do write it down, they're like, okay, I want blank, blah, 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 blah.
And then I make them say it aloud
boom,
to me.
They like slam the pen.
Fuck yeah, they do.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Write that period. They look, they turn it over, they slide it towards you, and they're like, that's it.
And then it's great because everyone's is so different. So like we have 500 members at this gym, or like in the Limitless Challenge, we have like, up to 100 people who are participating in this challenge. And every person who comes in, it's like, sure, they want to change their composition, but their action statement for what they really want, why they want it, what gets in the way, like all of those are so individual and unique and specific to them, So it really paves the way for it to be like their own individualized journey. So they're not just choosing a goal that everyone else wants. Like, oh, I want the same goal as everyone. I want like to lose 5 pounds. It's like, it really is their own specific value system. So,
and what you're also trying to create is an honest situation, because the problem that we've all had over the years as coaches, and the problem that a lot of people have, in getting results or in not getting results, is A, they're not honest with themselves, and B, they're not honest with their coach.
Sure.
And we see this particularly with nutrition, right?
Absolutely.
People like nutrition it's almost just a mathematical thing, right? Especially when it comes to fat loss. And if someone comes in and they're, a good 50 pounds overweight, and they tell you what they're eating, and you're like, no.
You're lying.
You're lying.
You're lying to me.
No way that this is true. If you were eating this every day, there is no way that this could be the situation. And that doesn't make people bad people. It's just we've got ourselves into this situation where we're just not honest with ourselves, and we're not honest with our coaches, because we're kind of like, either we're embarrassed or we're kind of like just shutting it out because we don't want to acknowledge it. So hopefully by doing this game plan, it's like, let's just get everything out on the table.
Absolutely.
And lay it all down. Let's be completely honest.
It helps build trust.
It starts
it starts the, coach to client relationship in a really like honest, open, transparent way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall we move on to step number 2? Did we talk enough about step number 1? Clear vision, baby. Nothing more important.
Yeah. So step 2, engage in the right support system, or engage the right support system. So when we talk about this, the people you have in your corner, the people around you, the people you are spending time with and getting advice from, or just getting acknowledgement from every day is a very important factor in whether you succeed or whether you fail. I like to think, and I believe, that we've created a great community at Ferris Athletic Club.
Absolutely.
I think we have great coaches in place. We love our membership. We have good people. And we believe it's a great environment in which to nourish your journey. I think sometimes we forget that there are a lot of people out there that are trying to do this on their own. They might have like negative people in their lives that tell them they can't, or almost try and like derail their
Absolutely.
Ambitions, or derail their like the path that they're on.
What do they say? Like, you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
You become who you hang around. Yeah.
It's a fact.
It's a fact. So, doing, having a goal, having a New Year's resolution, if that's what you want to call it, by getting people in your corner that will help you on that journey is imperative, and it's a really important factor for us.
It starts in your family, and enlist like your partner and your kids, and like let everyone know like that this is what you're focused on and that you care about. Don't keep your goals quiet,
Right.
Because it just kind of sets you up for failure. And like let it be okay. Like if this happens all the time, like I remember there was one time that I was on a challenge and I was not drinking, and I went out, and like the amount of shit I got from my friends for not drinking was like asinine. It's just like crazy how they're like, oh, come on, and it's like, if you really loved me, you would support me in my goals.
But we like to bring other people down so that we feel better about ourselves.
Sure.
Stop making me feel guilty.
Yeah, but I mean, even if it's it's your family, but then it sounds even sillier to say this, but social plays such a huge role. Social media, like post it, like put it out there in the world, and ask that other people hold you, help to hold you accountable too. Having connections with other people helps. You have that same like accountability as well. So finding that community to support and encourage, and like ultimately stand beside you.
Yeah, support your journey. That's what you need.
Yeah. But in the Limitless Challenge, we have a nutrition coach. We have a, to obviously map out a fuel plan for you. Then you have a head coach, and you're meeting with these people. You're, getting daily emails. You're constantly being checked in by your accountability partners. And then within the challenge, sometimes, like I said, there could be 100 people, and it could be like one big group, or it could be, groups of teams, or it could be teams of 2 or teams of 4. But even then, of course, everyone is running their own race, but ultimately is always fueled by the energy of those running that race with them and beside them. Like if you've ever ran a half marathon or a marathon, like it is amazing and so like overwhelming and emotional, like how you run, and not just the people running it with you, but the people who have woken up at 4 a.m. and made signs and stand out there and like stand on each corner and tell you that you're like doing great and to keep going. Like it's crazy how much it's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, actually, and if we take it back a level, I think this is one of the reasons why, we mentioned this in the previous podcast, this is one of the reasons why like things like CrossFit and bootcamp workouts became, so successful.
Sure.
Because people enjoy the company of others who are on the same kind of drive, same kind of journey. You want to surround yourselves with positive, active people who are doing, the same thing as you're doing, and they're encouraging you, and you're rising to the energy of the people around you, and you feel that collective spirit, and it's a great thing. And again, I think it's one of the main reasons why we saw such a boom of this kind of working out in the noughties.
In the noughties.
I almost hesitated. I'm glad you said that, because I almost didn't bring it up, but it almost has kind of given fitness like a little bit of a like bad reputation for itself, where people say like, oh, you guys are so culty. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That culty word. And it's like, we're not culty. I'm just like not trying to go out and get hammered at the bar every night like you are. And I have these group of people where it's like, instead of meeting at 11 p.m. on a Saturday night, let's meet at 11 a.m. Let's go for a 10,000 meter row, and then let's get lunch after. And let's go walk around the reservoir. And that's like your new group of friends.
Yeah.
Is 10,000 meters a long row?
Long time.
Oh, worst.
Yeah, I don't.
40 minutes.
I don't row, so.
The worst.
38 if you're
minutes.
Peter Bottom.
All right, so we got a clear vision, we got the right people in our corner to support us, and then what's step number 3, Pete?
Strategy.
For sure.
Gotta have a strategy.
You gotta know what you're doing.
You know what you want, you know why you want it, you know what's going to stop you, you know what you're going to overcome, but how do you actually do this? So once we've listened to these game plans and we've set things down in stone, it's like, okay, how do we get from point A to point B? As in, what is the path? So it's then our job as coaches to create that path. And again, referring back to a previous podcast, we have this system of multiplicity at Fast Athletic Club, different classes that do different things, the way that we program, the way that we coach. It's done in such a way that allows different emphasis on different modalities, different types of training on different days. to really get the best out of an individual. And every individual is on a different path. They have different goals. So we can then tailor the training schedule to their goals because we have so much on offer. That might be 2 lifting sessions a week, 2 train sessions a week, which are more based in aerobic capacity training, 2 repair sessions a week, which are more based in recovery, whatever it may be, to get the best out of this person and to get this person where they want to be as quickly as we possibly can and as safely as we possibly can.
And that's huge. It's like, can we give people enough volume to move the needle forward, especially in a 6-week period, right? Like people want massive action and results in 6 weeks. So we need to do enough volume to facilitate those results. But we want to make sure that, we're doing it in a safe way that, limits plateaus and reduce the risk of injury and especially overuse injury. Like It's not our goal to just have you come into the gym and crush it.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to just think, I'm going to do 20 sessions a week and I'm going to crush every session. Well, right. The likelihood is you're going to get injured by week 2.
Yeah. People are like, I want to work out 7 days a week or 10 sessions a week, doing doubles, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, but do you really need that? Yeah. Maybe you don't need that.
and strategy is based on a person's training history as well as their goals. And a lot of times, people just go into these things without any thought to their training history. Like, what have I done before? What is my body capable of? What's it ready for?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. You can't just
throw
jump in at the deep end and expect to get the same results. People like me and Jeff have been, training for a long time. We need
I love that you didn't include me in that.
Don't worry. I wasn't either.
Need a very different training program from a newbie. That isn't to say it's, a better program or a more sophisticated program. It's just different. Everybody needs different things. So strategy has to be based on where an individual is coming from as well as where they want to go.
Which is huge when it comes to now the next point, which is our nutrition plan, right? Like people come from different places and some people are used to counting calories or counting macros and some people have no clue what a macro is or what a protein, what separates them or, the calories per gram or whatever, any of that. So making sure that we also set people up with the right nutrition plan of action that doesn't overwhelm them, that gets them on a good path right from the beginning and then going from there. I think the really exciting, what I love the most about the Limitless Challenge is it's not like okay, cut all this from your diet, like no sugar, no alcohol, no gluten, no blah, 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 like none of these things. Like, we pretty much in this nutrition plan, we're rejecting the idea of a diet and instead curating a plan that like fits into your life, like the best diet for you is the one that you're actually going to follow on a consistent basis. And, we don't believe in cutting an entire macronutrient out of your diet unless you're on some weird experiment like Pete or like Jeff would say.
I do it so that you don't have to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or, forcing you to prepare all of your own meals when all your friends are going out and then you're like sitting and eating meals out of a Tupperware while your friends are like having fun.
You pull a scale out at dinner and measure how many ounces your chicken is.
Yeah, like people then will be like, dude, you're in a cult. This is weird,
I haven't seen that one yet. The scale at a restaurant.
Yes. So making sure that like we have the right fitness program for you and we have the right nutrition program based off of your training history, your goals, and your overall lifestyle. So that way it is something that you can sustain long term.
Yeah. I mean, that brings us on to kind of step 4, execution, right?
You got to do it.
You got to do it.
You just got to start.
And doing it just involves starting. Like Emily was saying, one step at a time. Showing up is 90%. You can't expect everything to be perfect straight right out of the gate. It's going to take a little bit of time. You just try to get 1% better every day. All these kind of things. If you try and do everything perfectly from the outset, you will fail.
Yeah. I mean, you may not fail, but you may you crash. You crash, you burn, you get overwhelmed, you get stressed. You like say, "Oh God, I can't do this. It's more than I thought."
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the main things that we all like to discuss in the beginning of these challenges. I mean, for me, like I take these 6 weeks. Look, you're not going to be exactly how you want to look and be as fit as you want to be in these 6 weeks. Let's set you up for the path like after these 6 weeks,
Absolutely.
right? It's always about like, for me, it's always about being realistic with your goals. And that's what you just talked about with your nutrition and the type of, or the amount of workout that you do. Like, let's set you up for 2 weeks, for 4 weeks, for 6 weeks, for 6 months, and then afterwards, you know, because again, if you try to be absolutely perfect from the get-go, you're gonna crack.
Yeah. And go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, really, it's about habits. Like, it's about building good habits. And if you can leave the Limitless Challenge with a set of new good habits, that's going to make the world a difference, you know, in the year ahead.
And especially like with new people, sometimes it's like, okay, well, this week I know there's a lot going on, and a lot of people are like, all the nutrition and fitness and like, you know, stress and hydration and journaling and point system and blah, blah, blah. Like, maybe just show up to the gym and develop this week the consistency. And then next week, let's hone in on maybe overall calories. And then maybe let's just focus on protein and figuring out like how to maximize that. And then maybe you dive into protein, carbs, and fats. And then maybe the next week we really focus on nailing your hydration and your recovery methods, you know, because ultimately a big thing with execution is managing your stress and making time for repair, making, you know, because muscles are not made in the gym. They're, you know, made when you sleep, and abs are not made in the gym. They're made in the kitchen, and they're, you know, making sure that you like manage all of those overwhelming aspects are huge too, you know.
So I think it helps to focus on just one or two things, and it can be something as simple as, I'm going to start every day with a glass of water.
Absolutely.
Like, how many of us get up in the morning and the first thing we have is a cup of coffee? A lot of us.
I do water with apple cider vinegar, some lime, and some salt.
So you crush it, Brandon.
You're sober margarita.
I need to, because like I said, I'm throwing way too many of these back during the day. The cortisol just flies to the roof. And
that was big for me. I like have a cup of water by my bed in the morning, and I like tell myself I'm not allowed to get out of the bed until I have finished my glass of water and then start.
Mine is to make my bed. I wake up, stand up, make my bed.
That's after you've had your PBR in the morning.
That is true.
Pete and I do not have the make our bed practice.
I make my bed at the hotel.
You do? Jesus.
I'm weird.
Oh, God. But yeah, managing your stress. I know Pete always has this great analogy for overworking, doing too much. Over-executing, basically.
Well, I just have to say that I stole this from Jim Jones. It's a
did you?
Jim Jones thing.
Oh, that's okay.
But it's a good one. So
you borrowed it.
I borrowed it. And it's
paid it forward.
It's the bank analogy. So, you know, we all have our own bank account. We are all our own bank account. Whenever we work out, whenever we exercise, we are effectively we are causing stress to our bodies. And every time we cause stress to our bodies, it's a withdrawal. So I'm taking money out of that bank account. At a certain point, I can't just keep taking things out of the bank account before I have to pay something back in. So I work out, I don't sleep much, I have a stressful day at work. All these things detract. And at a certain point, I got to pay some money back in. I got to sleep. I got to do some repair. I got to get a massage. I got to hydrate. You know, all of these things will help you recuperate, and then, you know, improve your training session the next day. So think of yourself as a bank account. Like, what have I taken out today? So what have I got to put back in? The more training you do, the more recovery you need. I am terrible at this to a degree. It's my biggest flaw, is that I'm more than willing to work out 3 times a day. To get me to go to a repair or a yoga class it's a struggle. And I would be a 10 times better athlete if I paid more attention to this stuff. And it's something I always like kind of beat myself up about, and, you know, I'm trying to improve. But we all have at the end of our bank account, and if we keep taking too much out, at some point we're going to get sick, we're going to get injured, and we're going to start performing less well, which for me is the real downer. Emily's big on all this recovery stuff, and she's positively influencing me to a degree. So I'm hopefully going to get better, but it's a huge part of every training program.
Keep pushing people, you know. Okay, so we got execution. We got our first 4 steps down, and our 5th one is arguably the most important. And that's, you got to measure, you got to track it. You got to know what you're doing. Once you've, you know, set the vision and got the strategy and you're starting it. Now, how do you measure and track it? You know, you got to measure the right things. And they always say, like, you cannot manage what you don't measure.
Yeah. There has to be something that's measurable, something tangible that you can refer back to. And for some people, that is body fat percentage. For some people, that is a circumference.
Taking measurements, yeah.
Some kind of measurement.
I want to add an inch to my bicep.
Yeah, exactly. And over the years, sometimes I've been really good about journaling, and sometimes I've not been so good about journaling. And I will tell you 100%, you are better at everything when you journal.
Sure. That's why we give people journals. It's like one of the biggest things of once we started doing that in the last few challenges, it really made a huge difference in people's awareness and accountability of tracking workouts and hydration and sleep and overall mood and all of that, So body composition scans, measurements, getting blood work done, knowing where you are at the start of something and then trying something and then seeing how your, blood paneling is doing. Just having as much evidence as possible, or tracking your food, like knowing what's going in, whether it's by, using something like MyFitnessPal and being crazy about calories and macros, or whether it's just writing it down in your journal of just knowing what it is. Maybe you're not super crazy about the quantities or the grams, but you are at least building that awareness.
Well, and it sounds kind of hokey, but writing down your feelings. And by that, I mean,
so true.
I didn't feel great today. I wonder why that is.
I had 4 cups of coffee and drank no water.
If you have a journal, then you know why. If you get to the end of the week and you didn't get the results that you wanted, and you don't know why, if you didn't journal, you're never going to find out. Whereas if you did journal, it's like, God, yeah, look at what I did. I did this wrong. I did that wrong. Or I did too much. Look, I can see everything that I did. So
I went through, we have like a thing, like a scale of like difficulty of workouts. And it's like, at the end of the week, I'm feeling fatigued and I lost, I do my scan and I lost some muscle mass and I did 7 workouts and the difficulty was at difficulty 10 every time. And you're like, okay, well now we can start to, now we start to see how over-executing is really damaging and going against your goals overall.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, it's like, fuck, I felt so strong today. I just PR'd my deadlift. Why did that happen? Well, if you don't record, you don't know.
Yeah. I got 8 hours of sleep. I had a ton of water. Yesterday, I ate like a champ. My macros were on. Everything was like dead on.
I think it's super interesting actually when you think about nutrition and stuff and glycogen and proteins and fats and that kind of thing. Knowing what you need in your system to perform at your best. I think that's something that kind of fascinates us all. There are so many variables to training, but having the energy to perform at our best is a fascinating thing because we're all different, right? It's going to be different for me, different for Emily, different for Jeff.
Yeah.
The numbers are all going to be slightly different, but unless you have a record to refer back to, it's very hard to make meaningful progress.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know where you're coming from, you don't know where you're going.
Yep. So you're measuring and tracking, and then we have these we meet with people over the course of these 6 weeks. So it's not just like, here's your path, see you at the end of the 6 weeks, hope it works out. Like we're constantly checking in with these people. And I know Jeff always says that this is like his favorite part of the challenge is like not just the initial game plans but the subsequent game plans. Because what's step number 6, Jeff?
It's be willing to change course for me, and she's right, because it's just you could have a twin set of brothers or sisters and give them the exact same game plan and the exact same fuel plan, and they can have not completely different results but different results. There's no one set formula for everything. And again,
and if people say there's one set formula,
they're a liar. There's no quick fix for anything. It takes a lot of work and a lot of time. But what I enjoy about this, especially during that initial game plan, is that, hey, this is going to be a great start for us. Let's get some habits. However, things may not go exactly according to plan. Work may come up. Kids may pop up. Marriage, like relationships.
Kids just pop up out of nowhere. It's the weirdest thing.
Take you, for example. Yeah. So, having a plan B, having a plan C, and being able to roll with the punches is extremely important. For me, a lot of times during these game plans, during these follow-ups, which we're in right now in our Limitless Challenge, you see like a couple different results with your game plan or with your in-body scans. And what'll happen is sometimes, Pete throws people on 3,500 calories and they're doing build every day, and sure, their muscle's going up, but then you're seeing their fat go up with it. Or in the opposite case, we have them doing a lot more conditioning. We're cutting their calories a little bit, so we see their fat dropping, but we also see their muscle going down as well. So we always want to try and, have both of those both the muscle and the weight and the fat going in the positive and negative direction. So maybe sometimes something has to change up exercise wise. They need to be adding more conditioning, they need to be adding more strength, or something needs to be switched up nutritionally, or sometimes it needs to be a little bit of both.
I think it's also a mindset thing, right? It's teaching people to have a good mindset and a growth mindset, as opposed to when things go wrong, throwing your toys and thinking, oh, it's all over, I can't do it. It's pointless.
Sure.
They're thinking, okay, that was a valuable lesson. I'm going to move forward from this. I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to do better next time. And that sometimes involves changing course somewhat, changing tact and trying something different. Or it may just be like adding something or taking something out. Simple fixes. But just understanding that everything is a lesson. Everything is something that you can learn from and move forward from with a better sense of purpose and meaning.
Yeah, and don't beat yourself up over it. People have been maybe struggling with their weight for years and years and years, and then they get frustrated when they're 2 weeks in and something doesn't go their way, and we're like, okay, it's been 2 weeks. This is a very long journey, and we just course correct, move on, adapt as quickly as possible. And the important thing is like not to get upset over these like faults or setbacks or things that don't always go their way. Just catch them quickly, move forward as possible, move forward quickly.
The classic is, I worked hard this week. I didn't lose any weight. Fuck it, I'm ordering a pizza. It's
so
that
true.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. And it's like, weight loss doesn't work like that. It's not always linear. So it's sticking to the path, learning from your mistakes, and when things don't go your way, not completely giving up, but just, like I said, learning and moving forward and making subtle changes where necessary.
Yeah.
Because with the whole kind of like fat loss, weight loss thing, it could just be that you weren't in the deficit that you thought you were in. You ate something that had a greater caloric value than you understood it to. And just by like taking that out or having less of it, you can create the deficit that you actually needed. Mm-hmm. And it can be small things. Like you guys know, like 500 calories can come from nowhere. It's easy to consume 500 calories. And a lot of people, when they're in a fat loss situation, they're trying to lose fat, you need to be losing 7,500, or you need to be in a 7,500 caloric deficit per week. That translates to 500 calories a day. If I'm not in that situation, then I'm not necessarily going to lose fat. And then the numbers can get away from you very easily unless you're like super careful about what you're eating and really understand the caloric value of everything. And again, that takes a long time to understand, and you have to allow yourself time to really, really master that. And you have to allow yourself time to understand and to grow.
Yeah, I find the hardest for clients is initially coming into the gym, right? So creating those habits, that's always really hard. Those first 2 weeks, there's first couple weeks, whatever, getting into the gym consistently. The other hard part about this is hitting that first plateau. You know what I mean? So you'll have a lot of these people, they've lost weight, they've gained muscle, everything's going great. Then a month goes by, nothing's happened. And they're like, well, now what? I'm still training as much. I'm like, and nothing's happening. So it's like, okay, now again, you have to have plan B. Now we're going to increase your volume of exercise. Now we're going to change something up calorically. But again, it's being able to roll with those punches and go from there.
Well, and that's the problem with a lot of people who go into the new year on a diet and I'm going to do this to the extreme. So they go super low calorie, they do a shit ton of cardio, and they end up basically with metabolic damage. Their metabolism starts to slow down because they're in such a huge deficit for such a long period of time. Their body just starts down-regulating. They get to ground zero, then there's nowhere to go.
Yep.
Because they're already having not enough calories, zero carbs, and doing a shitload of cardio.
Yeah.
They're metabolically weak. And it happens a lot.
Especially with diets, because either someone goes vegan, they take out soda, and for a month, they're like, wow, I'm losing all this weight, but was it just because of the soda? Or same thing if you go keto or something, and it's like soda's gone, well, what was actually there? And then they really plateau at that marker. So New Year's, new diets. Not good.
Almost never work. Yeah.
Remember, it's not really about losing as much weight as possible. It's about creating a stronger metabolism as possible. That's really the goal long term, because that's what's gonna keep you lean for years, as opposed to skinny for 3 months or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, you guys have done 6 of these challenges already and delivered some incredible results. Average person's lost 6 to 10 pounds of fat, gains 1 to 3 in muscle in a 6-week period. And as a group over the past year, you've helped members lose a collective of 500 pounds?
500 pounds of fat. Woo!
And gain nearly 200 pounds of muscle.
It's pretty cool.
Track all that too?
We track all that. Yeah, like
Wow.
the collective of everyone, which is that's fun. At the end of every challenge, we go through of each challenge. Like as a group, you guys have collectively lost X amount of pounds of fat and gained X amount of pounds of muscle. And that's, people love seeing that too, because that group camaraderie, man, makes a big difference.
Yeah, I don't think I've contributed to that at all. I just stayed at that 160, 165 marker and just cruise with the athleticism. But, why do you think the challenge is so successful?
I mean, there are so many reasons why it is, and we kind of touched on a few of them already. I think a big thing is obviously the community, the fact that you're in it with other people who are on the same path as you, and you're joining in with that camaraderie, that spirit, all of the positive things that we've talked about. You have a plan, you have a game plan, you know exactly what you're doing on every day.
And it's just for you.
And it's
not
just for
just
you.
this cookie cutter approach of people post something on Instagram, like follow this challenge and work out 4 days a week and do this and do that and don't do this and that and that and that, and it'll work. So the customization is massive.
It's massive, yeah. And it's waking up every day with a purpose. That's really what it is. And so many people wake up every day, they go to the gym, they get to the gym and think, what shall I do? Well, this eliminates that problem. It's like, okay, every day I've got a purpose. I know exactly what I'm doing on each day. I know exactly what I've got to eat. I know what I'm meant to sleep. I know what I'm meant to drink. All of these things. You're eliminating all the doubt and all the indecision that you usually have in the day. You're giving people tangible things to rely upon. Workouts, habits, nutrition, all of these things that really help propel you towards success. The gym is always successful in terms of training people, getting people stronger, helping people get lean. But we always say results are accelerated in a fixed time frame, and they're also accelerated when done amongst peers, when done amongst other people who are supportive of your journey. So when you put a time frame on things and you give people a team in essence, we find that results are accelerated. And it's been proved time and time again, because like I said, we've done 6.
Woo.
Coming up to our 7th.
We're going into our 7th.
And there hasn't been a single one where where it hasn't happened. And again, I think we have a fairly active membership. A lot of our members have been members of gyms before, and they have done a lot of physical stuff before. But there's just something special about the challenge. It just always gets the best out of people.
Yeah.
It's a common set of goals, a common set of beliefs. You nailed it with the team. I mean, even if you've never played team sports, it's game time. You know what I mean? It's game time. It's
people
time to go.
So you're doing the challenge? Yeah, me too. Cool. You want to do this class together? Great. Let's do this stuff.
It's like,
you
come on,
want to run around the block with me? Yeah.
We got to do this. We got to get as many points as we can. Let's go.
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah. There is a competitive side to it, right?
Sure.
Which also brings the best out of people. So,
and the worst.
Yeah, and the worst.
And the worst.
So
the cheaters come out, like me.
We do have a point system.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah.
We have a point system where people are trying to get as many points as possible, and there are prizes and all that kind of thing. Of course, the real win is the change that you see. But having points and prizes and that kind of thing makes it a fun competition, and people want to win.
Yeah,
people want to win.
Yeah.
They do,
and they go to extreme levels to win. But not in a not in a damaging way, but just in a I'm going to give it 100% because I want to win this damn thing.
Yeah.
And it's great to see it. It's good energy. It's good people. It's exciting. And it's a great atmosphere in the gym when the challenge is happening. It really is.
Now, what exactly is the Limitless Challenge? What does it entail?
Okay, so it is. It's coming up. It's a 6-week program. It's designed for literally anyone at any level, looking to just build stronger habits around fitness and nutrition and stress management and lifestyle, and in order to accelerate results and take action to improve your health. We spend 6 weeks curating the right program for you and your needs, and supportively pushing you to achieve what you set out for and help you make it a lifestyle that extends far beyond the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, you get a nutrition coach, you get a head coach, You have regular check-ins with those coaches. You have basically endless support throughout the challenge from both the people within the challenge and from your coaches. And it's a great 6-week opportunity to improve. And then hopefully everything that you learn within the challenge, all the habits that you develop, you will carry with you, throughout the year.
Yeah.
So it really is just saying, let's just start this year the best way possible and carry it forward throughout 2020.
And ultimately, it's not a fast fix. It's a system, it's when implemented, it transforms every corner of your life. What you do in here translates to all of the awesome kick-ass life that you want to lead out there. No diets, no off-limits foods or unsustainable efforts that cause yo-yoing and often more long-term metabolic damage. It's about education and self-awareness and intuitive eating and accountability. So, we're really excited to start this next year. If you are in the LA area, obviously, we want you to join us. We want you to come out. And if you're on the east side, come and hang out with us. Sign up for the challenge. It obviously includes a 6-week membership with unlimited access to classes, an open gym, nutrition coach, head coach, check-ins, daily emails. You get a PAC journal to track all your progress. You get before and afters for composition and measurements. And, obviously the competitive side of earning points for doing all of these things and winning prizes.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the LA area and you still want to join us, we are so stoked to be able to now offer the online version of the Limitless Challenge, even if you are not a member. And that will include 6 weeks of customized workouts as well that we will send to you. You still get a nutrition and head coach to develop a customized plan of action for you. You get bi-weekly Skype calls with your coaches. We still send you the PAC journal, and you'll still get opportunities to get points and have a group camaraderie within the online space. And we're really excited about it.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, we're taking it outside the 4 walls. So that's fun. You can, if you're interested, obviously you can get more information at pharos.fit/challenge. So check that out. Of course, you can, email us and ask us any questions if, for some reason this podcast was not clear enough with our with our plethora of passion towards the Limitless Challenge and everything that it can do. But we're excited for the new year, what it entails, and hit the ground running.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good year. Okay, thanks Emily, thanks Jeff, thanks Brandon. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you want to follow us, you can hit us up at Pharos Echo Park on Instagram. If you're in the neighborhood, we'd love to see you. We are at 1316 Glendale Boulevard in Echo Park. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our channel. And if you're already subscribed, thank you very, very much. We appreciate it. Please share with your friends. Please share with your family. And we look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks, guys.